My name is Carrie Ginger, and I am your host of the Bytable podcast, Know Better, Live Best. My guest today is the executive chef of Pharmacy Café and Green Planet Catering in Raleigh, North Carolina. Listen in as Patrick Cowden talks about partnering up with neighboring farms, the importance of community, cooking with food in season, how he is creative in the kitchen, and how he uses resourceful methods to reduce food waste. Know Better, Live Best is dedicated to supporting food and health literacy in people of all ages. Our mission is to cut through the misinformation surrounding food, health, and nutrition because we believe that when people know better, they can make the right choices and live their best lives. We are presented by Bytable Foods. They use blockchain and Internet of Things technology to build traceable, transparent food systems because it shouldn't take an investigative journalist to find out where food comes from. Hi, I'm here with Chef Patrick Cowden. Hi, Patrick. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you tonight?
Good. Can't complain tonight. That's for sure. It's really nice to have you on. I know I noticed earlier your nice cozy fire in the background.
yeah, fire on the TV. Yeah.
Hey, it's whatever sets the mood. That's just always nice for me. So, Patrick, go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners.
Okay. Again, I'm Chef Patrick Cowden. I'm one of the owners of the Pharmacy Café in Raleigh and Green Planet Catering, also in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Awesome. So when I was looking into you, it was pretty fun. Pharmacy Café. Tell us about that name.
I don't know if I'm going to adjust the video just a little bit
Sure.
so you can see, but it actually is a working pharmacy as well.
Okay.
The place has been here for over 100 years. And my business partner and I, there's always been a cafe since like the 30s. And we were approached by the owner of the pharmacy to say, hey, would you guys come in and take over the cafe? You know, I want to kind of modernize things and stuff. And so that's what my partner Daniel Whittaker and I have done. We're doing a modern take on an old school pharmacy lunch counter. We're in a very cool neighborhood, the Person Street neighborhood in Raleigh. We do very old school, like soda jerk style stuff. So I have a fountain that's from the 30s with the soda water. So we don't do Coke. We don't do Pepsi. We create all of our own syrups. We make fizzes and egg creams and shakes and stuff like that. But we've really upgraded the whole biscuit and sandwich thing. We're just a lunch and a breakfast and lunch kind of place.
Oh, I love it. I was looking at some of the dishes you serve, and it sounds absolutely delicious.
Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to think. Hopefully, I get the name. Was it the Mediterranean bowl? Was that one of them? Or
right. Yeah, we do biscuits. We do bowls. You know, like grain bowls.
Yeah.
And a mess of cool sandwiches. And then obviously we do a number of seasonal type things. Like today's special was a butternut squash steak on ciabatta with a smear of rosemary braised apples. We had like a pecan raisin relish and sauteed kale and a drizzle of some hickory balsamic syrup.
Oh, I love it.
So like really kind of getting into the fall kind of thing. We cook very seasonally.
I love it. I should have eaten dinner before I talked to you. So it sounds absolutely great. So what's one of your favorite dishes you serve at the Pharmacy Café? I've got to know because I was looking through. It all sounded pretty great.
Golly, it's like what I'm in the moment, you know.
Yeah.
It just like it all depends. I mean, I like the grilled halloumi sandwich. That's one of my favorites that I have on there. Things even like tell a story. One of my biscuits, it's called the Uncle Max, and I named that for my uncle Matt, who lives west of here. He loves country ham. We would always go up there and pick blackberries. So it's a biscuit with country ham, a blackberry jam, poached eggs, and just north of him is a great place to get cheese, Ashe County cheese, and use their blue cheddar. So it's kind of like get that fruit, blue cheese, poached eggs, ham kind of thing. I think that's like one of my favorite biscuits. But then again, our hands down best sellers are Pedro biscuits. So our own house-made chorizo with a couple of eggs, ranchero sauce, and again, Ashe County, the habanero cheddar. So kind of like a really kind of Southwesty Mexican style, big old biscuit.
Oh, absolutely. I love how you have like the personal touches to your food as well. I mean, it kind of seems pretty homey already, just the sound
Right.
of the food, like the biscuits, made from scratch, everything. But you have like food named after family members.
Yeah, I mean, everything has a story. Whether it's like a particular product that I like and I've used for years. To again, we're very uh, over the years. I've been known to like really be into the very local kind of food, like our ice cream, for instance. Um, my buddy Buck, he has a place called Lumpy's Ice Cream just north of us in Wake Forest. He gets his milk from cows that are just the next county over in Chatham County. Makes good, fresh, local ice cream. So everything has like a little that we use has a little story behind it. Um, the When I do seafood like crab and shrimp, my wife, she's from the coast of Carolina, from Beaufort, so I exclusively will get my seafood from a place called Carter at Catch, which uh, works directly with some local fishermen there, and the money goes like straight to them. They're giving them the best kind of deal that way. So there's connections with everything that I do.
It's a feel good place to eat. You've got to feel good knowing what you're eating and it's coming from people close to you or people that you trust. And I bet that's why you get a lot of customers too coming in because
Right. We really go overboard with the whole neighborhood kind of thing. Like for instance, even the beers I have on tap. Uh, we There's so much good beer in North Carolina. I mean, the whole microbrew kind of craft beer scene is just really ripping hot. So there's so many beers to choose from, but Daniel and I choose to we only have 4 taps, so we choose to only have beers that you can walk to their brewery from our place. So again, keeping it as hyper local as we can to like every little detail.
it's a close knit city there. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
So you serve great food, great drinks, and there's a really cool backstory to the Pharmacy Cafe, but you have to have a big value system. So like, what's kind of like your mission or like your values of Pharmacy Cafe?
Be a good neighbor,
Yeah.
and that just encompasses so many things from how we treat people coming in and the service that we give to you have somebody coming over to your house for dinner.
Mhm.
Are you just going to kind of like sling something together, or you're like, oh yeah, they're coming over? Yeah, you get excited about cooking for friends. So we all of our staff buy in to the idea that we're taking care of friends coming in, and that also is a good offshoot from purchasing and the products that I use, about working with our neighbors. I mean, those said breweries that we work with, those brewers come in here and have their lunch and stuff too. I mean, we're all trying to wash each other's back.
Right.
That's the way you just need to operate. You just take care of your neighbor, be a good neighbor. Oh yeah, the whole Fred Rogers thing. Yeah, be a good neighbor.
Well, that's great advice for like all walks of life. And I was laughing just about with, if you have friends come over for dinner, my husband, he also enjoys cooking. I mean, select things, but he'll want to try like a new dish when friends come over. I'm like, can we like do something we know is going to turn out and then maybe experiment like on a Friday night when it's just us?
Yeah, so you can do that the week before and then
Yeah.
work out the kinks and then have them over. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be caught having to like then order pizza because, it tastes like cardboard or something. Cause I'm not going to say I'm the best chef in the world because I am not. And that would totally happen to us.
Right.
So you also are the executive chef at Green Planet Catering. So tell us a little bit about that.
Let's see that a catering company. We do so many different types of events. Corporate lunches, dinners, social events, weddings, what have you. Just the last week for like Halloween, we did a really cool Dracula themed event with the Carolina Ballet because they were doing a production of Dracula, and so we did some really cool. I used like little hors d'oeuvres with lamb's blood lettuce and blood oranges. I had the anti-vampire thing with like roasted garlic and beets and this kind of stuff. So we have fun with it. But the whole driving factor about Green Planet and the cafe as well is sustainability and minimizing our ecological impact. For instance, I like all we do is just use compostable products for everything. We do compost. So when we come on site and do something, written into it is we take in compostable bins and stuff. We pick up all the garbage and everything and bring it back to our facility so we know that it gets taken care of properly. Like our catering vans run on biofuel. So we're just trying to be a very green operating company. And again, we do a lot of tons of different events. We do a lot of stuff over at UNC, at Duke, at State. And so it is, catering is its own thing. The menus vary from week to week to client to client. So it's great having an outlet like that.
You have a chance to be really creative. So that's something you enjoy. It's not, obviously it's not just the food, but the way you choose what you're going to bring to them. Like I said, the Halloween, how creative. I love that.
Yeah, it was a fun party. It was pretty cool.
And you're living up to your name of Green Planet with a compost. We just had the podcast with Kat Nigro from Compost Now. And it's just amazing. Yeah, how important that is. So it's really cool to see that you're doing that and you're living it as you're going when you're doing your catering jobs, that you're showing everyone what you're about. And, hopefully it's going to wear off on, some other people and they see.
Exactly that. There are companies out there and groups like UNC, like Duke, they have certain green standards that you have to meet to be able to come on. And do catering there. There are other companies that's the driving force. They want to promote that. And so people are searching that out, but also folks that are not searching out, they're just doing this because, oh, wow, they've had a great food and great service from one of our events. So they want to book us again. But we use our philosophies to help educate other folks. Like, hey, look how easy it is to do this. You can be doing this at home as well.
Absolutely. And I've already started the conversation with my husband, which we did it for a period of time, but it's something, you just want to keep getting better at. And that's another way to show by living it and, look how it can be happening. So, I appreciate that. I know the planet does. So that's awesome. So you're partnered with some farms that you kind of talked about a little bit earlier. So tell us what that relationship's like.
Oh, wow. There are so many little partners here and there. From a local farmer to like startups like Compost Now, to cheese companies, to pork, to coffee. One of my partner's neighbors, he roasts coffee. He has a coffee company, so we exclusively get our coffee from him. Actually, the other way, we get our cold brew from another company. But again, they're just like all in the neighborhood. And the biggest thing is like knowing where your food is coming from. And when you are working as locally as you can, you have time to go out there and vet them, to look at them. I mean, there's such a, like one thing I really do not like is some labeling on food stuff. When like eggs are labeled like cage free or free range. I mean, do you literally know that they only really need to have like a 2 square feet area to be called free range? The guy I've been buying eggs from for like 15, 20 years. And I can go out to his farm the next county over, and there are no little chickens just running around. They're just nice pasture eggs. You can taste it in the food. And when you can get right in touch with those producers, not just farmers, but producers from this and that, you can go there and get the inside on how much you feel the love in their food. You see how they're producing. You go spend a couple hours with them, or spend a day, and see how they do things. It gives you a better appreciation for what they do. When you start to develop, you can do so much more with good relationships than just, I want to buy this and that from somebody.
Right. Well, everything you just said there was really powerful. It's important for people to know. And no, years back, I did not know that what you said about the eggs, the cage-free, the free range with the chickens. And absolutely, that's true. Because now I go to the grocery store and I'm looking at eggs. It's harder for me now because I have a bit more background on that. And it's really important, that transparency of you're able to go to those farms or the producers and you can see firsthand where your food's coming from. And like I said, it makes you feel better, but it's just so important that you're educating people right now that they know that you need to look a little more into that with the food. It's not as easy as it sounds, I feel.
Right. And you go out to dinner, okay, and you get a dish. Do you really feel comfortable that like the server or someone taking care of you can tell you all about that? Where did this come from? Where did that come from? I mean, people are really, you look at this recall, that recall, big foodstuffs, and people are really worried about that.
Yeah.
By working local, some of these y'all have had buddy Patrick Robinette with Harris Robinette. Good old guy. He hand delivers our beef to us, every week. And my employees, we make sure that they know the backstory. We're talking about stories earlier, that they know the backstory for all of our products. They can carry on a conversation with our folks coming. By the way, did you know that this is from here? Or this is from there, And then that makes the folks coming in to the cafe really get a good feel for, hey, the food here is wholesome. It is. We know where it is coming from. Even though we ourselves did not actually go to that farm, these cats have already done the legwork for us.
Right. Yeah. And it's something I think people just need to be more aware of and to question a little more, and just basically drive the questions out there and make people answer those, I think, difficult questions, and show that we care about where our food's coming from. Because you really believe, in the transparency of the food system, and you've showed that. But why do you, let's just tell the listeners, why do you believe in the sustainability of the food system?
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was raised that way. We had a little farm. Other folks in my family were farmers, and that, and maybe I'm just a food snob. I want good stuff. I don't want those mass-produced kind of things. It's just I don't really want to. It's hard for me to say exactly, all right, this is why I do it, just because I've done it for 40 some years. It's just what I've been used to. The chefs that I've worked for in the past, that's what the French chefs 30 years ago that I was working with. The very nouveau cuisine, very local. It's just been ingrained in me over all these years that you don't do it a different way. This is what you do, and it shows in your food. And then when you acquire that taste and that habit, it's just rote. You forget exactly, well, how or why did I do this? I do this because this is me. This is what I do.
Well, it's just like anyone who may, like you did not have the bad habit, but anyone who's maybe had the bad habit or just didn't have the information or the knowledge to question what like real food maybe should look like, because you've already done it. But it's like anything, it's getting used to it, because, well, I'm basically what that is. I grew up eating, I don't know, the American diet, basically. Fast food, I don't know what you'd call it. And now that I'm really caring more about what's going in my body and my health, I look at food and all I see sometimes is just chemicals or plasticky type foods. And, it's something that I've noticed a bit more. But anyways, we're not going to go into that. The different seasons, I'm thinking, I'm from the Midwest, and, fall's upon us, winter, we know, is coming quickly. So how does the seasons basically affect your business? Because I know you're always going to have awesome food, but how does that affect maybe what you're going to do or what you're planning on?
Well, it's, I love all the different seasonal stuff. A few of my posts on our Instagram, just like, man, I'm glad fall's here. Fall is one of my favorite times to cook. There's some products that are not as available, but why are you doing, tomatoes or strawberries in December? They're not at their peak. Why? I know people like that, and I get that. But when you go outside, there's a little chill in the air. Do you want some kind of strawberry thing, or you don't want like a braised apple? So, our bodies are attuned to eating seasonally. And so that, and for me as a chef, it also helps push my creativity on, yes, winter, fall, things are not as abundant as they are in spring and abundance of summer. But that should be a challenge for you as a chef. Do you want to go in every day and do this rote everything, same thing day after day. You should always try to push yourself and learn something new. And okay, what else can I do with like butternut and turnips and things like that? But then again, you know when fall's happening. You know when winter is happening.
Yep.
Learn other techniques the other times of the year. Store up. Get all those strawberries. Make jams. Preserve them. Fall's coming up. Let's get that corn and other items, cucumbers, and pickle them. And do things like that. And can the tomatoes. That way I'm still using a good look. So that's how I'm going to get my tomatoes on things in the fall and winter. I put up all my summer tomatoes to be able to use them in different, tomato jams and tomato this that are like canned and put up.
Those are great ideas. I was kind of laughing because, this making the same things over and over again. That's me right now. It's hard. It's hard because I don't want to do that. I think I'm still trying to figure out how to change it because I do. I'm sure even my husband can test that. He's like, oh yeah, we're having that. And he doesn't complain because, maybe I'm cooking and he doesn't want to, say anything because I'll stop. But do you have any advice for those that maybe are stuck in a rut or any maybe easy tips for us at home to branch?
Great. A number of tips actually. Just last week I was doing a lecture on with a group called Toward Zero Waste and how to cut all your waste down. Oh. And there are a few texts that I definitely suggest to have out there. A good culinary school cookbook, like Professional Chef or the CIA cookbook. Learn the basic techniques on how to do things. How to properly saute, how to properly roast, how to properly make a sauce or a stock. Okay, and then there's a couple, Andrew Dornberg and Karen Page. They have a series of books out, culinary artistry. Vegetarian food Bible. There's another one, I forget the exact name of it. But what they do there is they've gone through and interviewed hundreds of chefs across the country and asked, well, how do you do what you do? How do you come up with what you come up with? Great ideas on how to come up with these with new dishes and things like that. But the core of these books list hundreds of ingredients and what foods go with them to create new flavors. Things are broken out seasonally. This is more readily available during this time period, during that time period. So if you use that book, you've used the culinary book on how to do things, so like the proper way to roast something, then everything's just a variation on a theme. Start playing around and try to get yourself out of the idea of being beholden to recipes. Learn the techniques so you can kind of like do that whole Miles Davis jazz kind of improvise your meals and stuff because you know the techniques. You just apply different products to it. Like to me, a lot of times following recipes would be like me picking up a sheet music of Beethoven and trying to knock that out. I guarantee you my version is not going to be anywhere near his, So really work on your techniques and find resources that just actually tell you about products. But again, too, go to the farmer's market, go around what's around local. These people that are producing this stuff, they can tell you how to use it as well.
Oh, that's good advice. Actually, yeah, talk to the people when you go down the farmer's market. They love to talk about their food or what they're growing.
Yeah, exactly. They're proud of their product. The hard part will be walking away from them. They'll be telling you this, and they'll be telling you that, and they'll be telling you this, so.
Well, that is good advice because there are people that they're growing it, they're using it for multiple dishes or jams or, whatever you're making. But I also I've never been given the advice of actually working on the skill. I'm lacking in all this. I've never been given that advice, and I love that because I don't. And I think so for that reason, cooking is, I think, hard for me to branch out from typical easy dishes because I just don't know. And I'll put on spices that I guess I don't know. So that's actually good advice. And then maybe that'll help me enjoy cooking a little more because I want to enjoy it.
It will. Just think about, back in college or back in school, you just looking at a math problem and doing it rote can be overwhelming at times.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get the reasoning behind it, it just flows so much easier. Same thing with cooking. If you get the technique down that have been honed over hundreds of years of cooking, then all you have to do is just, improvise. I mean, you're your own best teacher by your palate. Mm-hmm. So, and who says you can't try this or try that? Uh-oh,
right.
Are you still there?
I am here. Can you see me?
No, I can't. My thingy timed out.
Oh,
there it is. Okay, sorry. Back.
Oh, no problem. But I was wondering too, do you get many children coming to your restaurant at all?
Yes, we do. I was going to show the other one of the other cool things that we do. Oh, and actually, I'll do this anyway. We're going to go for a walk. If that
sounds great. Absolutely.
Okay, so again, about our whole sense of community, we had this huge community table built, like 18 feet tall. It's from reclaimed wood from an old warehouse from the 20s. And then we have tons of like games and stuff because I'm a gamer. I'm a kid at heart. So we have people bringing their kids here and sitting down, getting a sandwich, playing games. Today, actually, it was full of kids, believe it or not, because a lot of the schools where some polling was taking place for the elections, they were on like a 3-hour delay or whatever. So a lot of folks said, "Oh, let's just all go out for breakfast." So yes, we get such a wide group. We're a very, very cool, family-oriented kind of place.
And I would love to bring my kids there, at least, a place similar since we're so far away right now. But my children, it's a struggle for a while, just what they eat. I knew I was doomed a year ago when my son said, "I don't like real food." I'm like, "What have I done to you? I feel like I've tried." And I'm like, "No." So I think with trying out different techniques and cooking seasonally, maybe there's a way to find those different tastes for them. And so they can realize, how great food can be.
Well, yeah. And the whole thing about learning about food can actually even give you an opportunity to teach kids even bigger life lessons. Like at our house, the kids growing up are like, "Okay, fine. I get you want to eat what you want to eat, but and if you don't like it, I get that, but you have to at least try it once. Try it, and then if you don't like it, great. Maybe you'll get the taste for it later." But that opens up the other idea about, don't judge a book by its cover. Give everybody a chance, and, you might meet somebody and have this immediate impression about them. Kid might have an immediate impression about broccoli, but, give it a chance. You might actually like it. So as the whole thing can be all, related.
Oh, it was kind of funny you're talking about that. I eat broccoli about every day. It's kind of like just my go-to, it's like my chips and dip kind of. It's like my broccoli and hummus. So I was eating that at school today, and in my class I eat with me today as like a prize. And there was actually broccoli served with their school lunch today. And most of them wouldn't eat it, but they were all taking bites. They were almost like daring each other to take a bite, which, decent dare, I suppose. But because I was eating it. So it just goes to show when you see people you care about doing the right thing, you might tend to at least want to try. And if not for yourself, for them.
Yeah, lead by example.
Exactly.
It's tough, though, to get kids to change some of their ways, but they'll surprise you.
Exactly. And that's what I'm hoping mine will still come. So we have a garden in our backyard, and we were hoping that it would kind of get my kids hooked with the growing of the food. And they love it. They love the growing of the food. Now, still getting them to eat it is another deal, but, work in progress, baby steps. Yeah. But, it goes back to like that sourcing of food for us, which clearly sourcing of food is really important to you with all of your relationships that you have around your community. But do you want to talk a little bit more about why the sourcing is so important to you personally?
A number of different reasons there. Again, environmental impact. If you're working local, then you don't have as much transportation going back and forth. One of the banes of the existence of restaurants in the United States is the amount of packaging that is just chucked and tossed and wasted. And when you are working with local farmers, local producers, you can really cut that down a lot from your reusable containers and things like that. Again, it's so much more about, being a good neighbor and taking care of folks and helping their business survive because they're helping your business survive. Mm-hmm. And again, it's quality. A lot of it just all boils down to quality. Given 2 different strawberries, that one that is shipped in from California or Florida is nowhere near the one that I just went down the street and picked ourselves. It's strawberry season. We take the crew out. We all pick strawberries together on a day off, which is kind of fun. Because they have to be sent in a truck across country so that when they get here and they have to have, certain shelf life. One, you've already lost some shelf life because you've harvested it. It's taken mm-hmm. 2, 3, 4 days, however many days it takes to get here. But also, that product has not been able to ripen and mature to its peak flavor and quality. So when you are working local, once you go there and harvest it, you actually going to probably have a little bit longer shelf life, a little mm-hmm. bit better value for your money, and working within the season. Whole law of supply and demand. There's more of it. It's going to be a little bit less. Look at strawberry price now compared to what you're going to get in April and May. Yep. It makes sense because that's the right thing to do. It also makes good business sense too. Buy low. I don't want to say buy low, sell high because we don't have high prices, but you know what I'm saying,
Absolutely. And just the freshness and carryover. Yeah, the shelf life. I've bought strawberries before, and the next day there's mold growing out. And I'm like, I just got this home from the store yesterday. And I thought I checked it out. And you try to take care of it and do everything you're supposed to. And I'm totally guilty for buying fruit that's not always in season, trying to get my kids to eat, at least some fruits.
It's tough. You're right. It is. It's tough.
But what is your favorite maybe fruit around this time of year?
Apples, hands down apples. Oh yeah, apple this, apple that. Yeah, one of my favorite things. Growing up, my grandmother would make these little fried apple pies, which are fabulous, tasty. So the apples, squashes, pumpkins, cranberries. I like a lot of the winter style fruit.
See, I love the squashes too. You brought that up. I just had some squash yesterday. I think it's great. So we're talking a lot about, agriculture and farming and the sourcing of food. Do you have a big vision of what you hope? Because you're already doing a great job with using local farmers and producers around you. So maybe that is your hope for everyone, but do you have a vision for agriculture down the road?
Well, more and more, the trend is going toward more of a plant-based foods. Mm-hmm. Plant-based cuisine and diets. And you'll see on my menus, I have a ton of different vegetarian and vegan options and such. So I would really like to really kind of, I don't want to say push that agenda, but I find that that is a trend that my cooking is going towards, is really developing better skills in plant-based cuisines. Not only, to me, as a chef, you always want to try to learn something new. You don't want to keep on being rote and doing the same thing day after day after mm-hmm. day after day after day. And, working, getting yourself that constriction of a completely plant-based cuisine, it stretches your skills, which is cool, and it pushes you creativity. It pushes your creativity to other heights. It's so I'd like to see more people adopt a plant-based diets, but also I think a lot of the future of agriculture and farming and such also really, really stems through better education, educating our kids educating yourselves on how to be sustainable, how to reduce your waste. Being able to use those slightly bruised strawberries, but turning it into jam and jelly instead of just chucking it out. I was at a really cool conference a few weeks ago with Chef Marcus Samuelson of Red Rooster, New York, and we're talking about food waste. And we waste easily 35% of all the food is just wasted in the country. And through education and proper techniques, we can reduce that to, there is going to be waste, but we can reduce that down to 5 or 10%. We can really cut that amount. So a lot of, it sucks that there's a lot of hungry people out there, but just of our own excesses and our own waste alone could impact that so much. So it's all about educating and setting new habits.
Oh, it's absolutely a problem. And I can believe it. It happens in my home, and it does pain me. And going back to my podcast with Compost Now, it even just like hits even harder. When you're throwing something in garbage or the garbage disposal, it does pain me.
Right.
But it's that information of, what can you do with it? But I loved, again, jams, making different things. The best I do is when my bananas are going bad, handing them to my mom because she'll make banana bread.
Yeah, there you go.
It's getting something done. So you talked a bit, you touched briefly on it, but your relationship with Compost Now, like how did that start or how does that work?
Let's see. Golly, I forget exactly how it got started. My partner Daniel got it started with Green Planet Catering.
Okay.
And it just seemed natural for us to, pick it up with the cafe. When Green Planet started 10 years ago, the cafe we just started it 3 years ago.
Okay.
Or took it over 3 years ago. And I was with a different group earlier. Daniel started Green Planet, and from the get-go, visions were about being a very green operating place. So from the get-go, he started working with them.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I love it because everything you've said today has really reminded me of with the compost, all the composting you're doing and how much you care about the planet. You keep bringing up the planet and reducing waste. And, that's a big push that, even my hope for the future as well, of what we can do for our planet. Because I learned a ton when I was talking to Kat. Now you're all from Compost Now. That gets you excited about hopefully what you can do for the future in our planet. But I do kind of want to remind a little bit, you were bringing up plant-based, and you were just speaking to me because that's what I have been trying to do and get better at for probably the last year now. As a plant-based diet for myself, just with reducing inflammation in my body and trying just, to solve other medical things that can pop up or being, preventative. And I was actually kind of relieved to hear you say that it's stretching your skills and helping you learn more, trying to find more dishes like that. Cause that's where I am stuck in a rut. Like I know what I can eat and now I just need to start branching out.
Right. Yeah. There's so many studies out there about how plant-based diets can just take so much better care of your body. My daughter, my wife, my son too, all three of them, they all have Crohn's disease. We have to manage a lot of stuff with them and their diet. Doctor told me I need to make some changes myself. So, it's not as much as, at least for me about, oh, wow, I need to change it because the doctor said so. It's just like, I like that. I like that kind of food.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the challenges that it poses on being able to be creative with all of it and using every bit of it. One thing I didn't mention earlier is, we are a breakfast and lunch kind of place. And so with our biscuits, I have a jam and jelly bar. So you have like 10 to 12 different jams and jellies that we make in-house to go out there to slather on your biscuit. Again, we're using every bit of that product. At lunch, with a sandwich, so many places just give like that kosher dill pickle kind of thing with your sandwich. Well, we don't do that. I have a pickle bar. So I do like 10 to 12 different pickled items. When you have like an end of this, a little bit of that, pickle it. It's a great way to use it up and get extra value for it. We even make all of our own hot sauces. So I have like 8 or 9 different hot sauces that we make. So there are so many other ways and things that you can do to help eliminate this waste. Guys at Compost Now, great people, love them to death. But what we should be thinking about is that that's the last resort. There are other ways to be able to use up product instead of having to compost it. But when you do, which there is going to be some of it, then dispose of it properly. Get it composted, work it right back into the environment.
And, I think the people at Compost Now would absolutely agree with you on that one.
Oh, yeah.
What can you do to eliminate it? And it goes back to right now, it might be stretching it and finding those creative ways to help reduce the waste. But once you do it and you have so many like tools in your toolbox of what you're going to do, it probably just becomes second nature. I say probably because it's not for me yet, but it is something, it is somewhere where I want to go, with my household and with what's important, because you just feel better about it. If you're doing something good, you want to do it. So hopefully once you start trying different things, it can work for you.
Oh, exactly. Like any endeavor, some things are just so much harder to get started. But if you have the perseverance to see it through, then it becomes like second nature, and you do it just that much easier. And it's just a routine. It's something that we just need to do for ourselves, but it's a great learning lesson for our kids too. Is, hey, don't give up right at the first signs of hassle. Work through it. Okay, you're going to see the rewards once you work through and push through all of that. So changing habits, believe me, you're a mom. There are a lot of habits you want your kids to change.
Yep.
So we can teach them on how to persevere and change those habits.
Oh, it's those are life lessons. That perseverance is huge. Don't give up at the first sign of something being challenging and difficult. If it's worthwhile, it's going to be difficult.
Exactly. So again, that's a great way to go back to your seasonality. What do I do with these fall and winter vegetables? You will find it more rewarding when you educate yourself and learn how to work within those constraints and begin to get creative with it. It's going to be fulfilling.
Yeah, I think this podcast was placed perfectly for me today, because just this last weekend, I was kind of like, oh, I just don't have the time. I guess I'll just eat this again. And it kind of just opens my eyes. Nope, Carrie, you can do this. Think about it. Get some better food on the table for your kids. Teach those lessons and look more seasonally. I think I get stuck in looking at what my children currently eat, what I currently eat, but branch out. And if it's just a quick search, even online, of great seasonal items, might be me a quick place to start.
And then you bring a great point that I would teach in these zero waste classes, and that is you need to have a plan. You're talking about like Googling and looking at recipes. I mean, convenience can be horrible. When you go, I'm rushed, so you're going to buy the convenient product and stuff. But if you can take the time to set a plan, not only can you save yourself a little bit of money and save some product about having like 2 or 3 different uses for the same thing. Like get that, roasted chicken, have some, roast chicken at, one night, then, pull the rest of the meat out, make a chicken salad, and you got the bones to make a chicken soup with. You can get cross utilization out of all of that. But, being able to educate yourself, you can go into these seasons and not be reliant on the convenience factor, because again, when it gets tough, like fall and winter, the convenience kind of drifts away. You do have to kind of plan ahead on some things, but again, that's half the battle, is going in with a good plan.
Well, it is. Just set aside a little bit on that Saturday or Sunday or whenever you choose to do your grocery shopping. Just put in the extra time, and it'll save you that time plus some during the week if you're ready.
Exactly. Or like take a Sunday night and prep up meals for the week with the kids. It's teaching them cooking skills. You guys are having like a little bit of bonding time, but it's saving you time later on in the week when you have to run them here and run them there. But you've already got your meals planned up, so you don't have to go run through a drive-through, or pick up that, pricey pre-done meal, or, oh, well, it's busy. Well, just drop by and get a pizza. Mind you, I love pizza.
Me too.
But you can actually there's so many ways you can go about investing that time to save yourself some time and money.
Yeah, and you're really speaking to parents right now. You can bond with your children as you're trying to get ready for the week. So I think we just think, oh, go do that. I have to be in the kitchen. No, bring them in. Then you feel better too, because you get to spend time with your kids
Right.
and you're getting work done.
Exactly.
So do you have any last thoughts that you really want the listeners out there to know, or anything you want to sum up from our talk today?
It's a big adventure out there. Be adventurous. Educate yourself. Work on some basic skills, and go out and play. It's just because it's a recipe that you use. Who says you have to totally follow that recipe every single time and exactly like that? Well, it's not in the recipe. Jazz it up some, improvise. Now, mind you, some baking things have to be exact. Just because baking's sometimes more a science than it is just kind of like a jazz improvisation kind of thing. But really educate yourself, and don't be afraid to make some mistakes in it, because that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
It will. It will. But try not to let it be this huge thing. I'm trying to learn how to be seasonal. Just, take little baby steps here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see over time that all of a sudden you're doing so much more. You're cooking seasonally. You're eating better. Your kids are eating better. And your skills you're going to be the one that says, hey, can you make a dish here? Or they're going to love it. Oh, no, so-and-so's coming for dinner. I've got to be on point because, I've had their stuff. Wow, that's cool.
Oh, I want to be that person. Yeah, Carrie's bringing something. I'm not that person right now, but you can always change. So speaking of, it kind of got me thinking, with Thanksgiving coming up, hopefully I don't get you here because I'm sure you can think of like 15,000. Is there any amazing side dish that you love making for Thanksgiving? Like do you have like a go-to?
I love Brussels sprouts roasted with butternut squash, cranberries, tossed with some kale. Kind of simple that way, but the great flavors, great color, added to the plate. Yeah, that's one of my definite go-to side dishes.
I might have to check into something like that, because I want to bring a dish, but I want to, choose something that has, a lot more vegetables and different types. And I love Brussels sprouts. So, kind of selfish too. I was asking you for some ideas since I had you here. No, those are all great tips. Just kind of like what I tell my kindergartners: be brave, just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Exactly. Yeah.
Just be brave. Well, I also tell the listeners how to find you.
Okay. Well, again, we're in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Pharmacy Café and Green Planet Catering. Our website for the cafe is pharmacycaféraleigh.com. We have a couple of Instagram feeds, hashtag Chef Cowden, that's Cowden, or we also have the Pharmacy Café as, again, our Instagrams. And on Facebook, we're the Pharmacy Café. And then Green Planet, that's very simple, is greenplanetcatering.com.
Absolutely. I've been to both. All awesome.
Great.
So some amazing dishes. Give me some more ideas of maybe what I can try at home. But Patrick, it was so nice having you on today, and I really appreciate you taking your time to come on with us.
Oh, yeah, of course. And again, for your audience and listeners out there, if anyone has questions or anything, you can even just shoot me a note at Chef Patrick at greenplanetcatering.com. I'll be happy to well, what do I bring to Thanksgiving? Well, I'm going to tell you, I'll be happy to shoot off a couple notes. So.
I was going to say, so I can email you and ask you a little more about that side dish.
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
I might just be doing that. No, I appreciate it. And it's nice seeing people out there that don't mind having questions come to them, because you always worry people are too busy. And it's nice hearing you say, go ahead, shoot me a note if you need to. Yes,
no problem at all.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick.
All right, Carrie. Thank you. It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you as well.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.